Welcome to our channel. Today, we discuss the deadly space bacteria no one prepared for, and why this invisible threat could be far more dangerous than asteroids, solar flares, or even alien invasions. When most people imagine danger in space, they think about exploding stars, black holes, or massive meteors racing toward Earth. Movies like Alien have trained us to fear terrifying creatures hiding in dark spacecraft corridors. Stories like the Andromeda strain made us imagine mysterious extraterrestrial microbes wiping out entire towns overnight. But here's the uncomfortable truth: the real danger may not look dramatic at all. It may not roar. It may not glow. It may not even be visible. It could be microscopic, and it could already be closer than we think. For decades, scientists have studied bacteria on Earth. We know they live in oceans, deserts, volcanoes, and even inside our own bodies. But something surprising happened when we began exploring space. Microbes didn't just stay on Earth. They traveled with us. When astronauts boarded early missions under programs like NASA's Apollo program, nobody was thinking about how bacteria might behave beyond Earth. The focus was on rockets, life support, navigation, and survival. Microbes were an afterthought, yet bacteria hitched rides on spacecraft surfaces, inside equipment, on astronaut skin, and even in the air systems of space stations. And once in space, something strange began to happen. In microgravity, the near-weightless environment aboard the International Space Station, bacteria started acting differently. Some species grew faster, some became more resistant, some formed stronger biofilms, thick, slimy layers that stick to surfaces and protect microbes from threats. Now think about that for a second. On Earth, gravity helps shape how fluids move. It affects how nutrients circulate and how waste is removed. In space, those normal processes change. Without gravity pulling things down, fluids float. Particles remain suspended. And bacteria exist in a totally different physical environment. In certain experiments conducted aboard the ISS, researchers observed that some bacteria became more virulent. That means more capable of causing disease. Others developed increased resistance to antibiotics. Imagine being millions of kilometers from Earth, inside a sealed spacecraft, and facing a bacterial infection that doesn't respond to your medication. That's not science fiction. That's a real concern. But here's where things become even more unsettling. It's not just about Earth bacteria behaving differently in space. It's also about what might already exist out there. For years, scientists have debated the possibility of life beyond Earth. The idea of panspermia, the theory that life can travel between planets on meteors, suggests that microbes might survive the harsh vacuum of space. We've already found extremophiles on Earth. These are organisms that thrive in extreme conditions: boiling hydrothermal vents, acidic lakes, frozen Antarctic ice, and deep underground caves with no sunlight. If life can survive here, could it survive on Mars? Or on icy moons like Europa? The rover missions to Mars, operated by NASA and agencies like European Space Agency, are partly designed to search for signs of ancient microbial life. And here's the terrifying question: what happens if we find it, or worse? What happens if it finds us? Let's imagine a future mission to Mars. Astronauts collect soil samples from beneath the Martian surface. They bring them back to a habitat module for analysis. Inside that sample is a dormant microbe, one that survived radiation, freezing temperatures, and billions of years in suspended animation. It doesn't look like anything unusual under a microscope at first. But once exposed to warmth, moisture, and nutrients inside the habitat, it activates. We have no natural immunity to it. Our immune systems evolved on Earth. They recognize Earth-based pathogens. But a completely alien microbe? It could interact with our biology in unpredictable ways. Maybe it would do nothing, or maybe it would trigger inflammation, toxic reactions, or cellular damage our bodies don't know how to fight. Now consider planetary protection protocols. Space agencies sterilize spacecraft carefully to avoid contaminating other planets. They use heat, chemicals, and clean rooms to minimize microbial stowaways. But sterilization is never perfect. And the more missions we launch, private companies included, the more complex this challenge becomes. Companies like SpaceX are planning ambitious missions to Mars. Human colonization is no longer just a distant dream. It's actively being engineered. But have we truly prepared for microbial evolution in space? Long-duration missions, like a journey to Mars, would expose astronauts to radiation levels far higher than on Earth. Radiation can mutate DNA. It can alter both human cells and bacterial cells. Imagine bacteria exposed to high radiation and microgravity, under stress. In confined environments, evolution speeds up when organisms are under pressure. In that scenario, space becomes not just a frontier, but a biological laboratory. Now think about closed-loop life support systems. Future space habitats will recycle air and water continuously. Waste will be processed and reused. Everything will be interconnected. In such systems, microbial balance is critical. On Earth, ecosystems are vast and self-correcting. In space, a habitat is tiny and fragile. If harmful bacteria gain dominance, there's nowhere to escape, and then there's the possibility we rarely talk about: contamination coming back to Earth. When samples from Mars are eventually returned, they'll be handled in ultra-secure facilities. But history shows us that containment systems can fail. In 1969, when Apollo astronauts returned from the Moon, they were placed in quarantine. At the time, scientists didn't know whether lunar microbes existed. Eventually, the Moon was declared sterile. But what if Mars is different? If even one unknown organism slipped through containment and adapted to Earth's environment, the consequences could be enormous. Now, to be clear, scientists are not ignoring these risks. Organizations like World Health Organization monitor infectious disease threats worldwide. International planetary protection policies are taken seriously, but here's the problem: most of our preparation is based on what we already know, and space has a habit of surprising us. Radiation-resistant bacteria like Deinococcus radiodurans can survive extreme conditions. Tardigrades can endure vacuum exposure. Fungal spores have been found clinging to spacecraft exteriors after years in orbit. Life is stubborn, life adapts, and when placed in new environments, it can change in ways we don't predict. Let's talk about biofilms for a moment. On the ISS, biofilms have clogged water systems and damaged equipment. These slimy bacterial communities are incredibly hard to remove. They protect microbes from disinfectants and antibiotics. Now scale that up to a Mars colony with hundreds of people. If biofilms form inside water recycling systems or oxygen generators, they could threaten the entire settlement, and unlike on Earth, there's no easy way to call for help. So why is this topic not discussed more often? Because microbes are invisible. They don't make dramatic headlines. They don't explode like rockets, but historically, infectious disease has shaped civilization far more than space disasters ever have. The Black Death changed Europe. The 1918 flu pandemic reshaped global health systems. More recently, global outbreaks have shown how interconnected and vulnerable we are. Now imagine introducing a completely unknown microorganism into that equation. Some scientists argue that alien microbes might be harmless because their biochemistry would be too different from ours to interact with human cells. That's possible, but possible is not guaranteed, and even if they don't infect us directly, they could affect crops grown in space habitats. They could interact with engineered bacteria used for life support systems. They could disrupt closed ecosystems. Space farming will rely heavily on microbes. Soil bacteria help plants absorb nutrients. Nitrogen-fixing bacteria are essential for growth. If foreign organisms outcompete them, food production could fail. When we talk about colonizing Mars or building lunar bases, we focus on rockets and habitats. But the real long-term challenge might be microbial management, monitoring invisible ecosystems, controlling evolution in confined spaces, preventing cross-contamination between worlds. And here's something even more unsettling: we may not recognize the danger immediately. An alien microbe might not cause immediate symptoms. It might integrate quietly. It might exchange genetic material with Earth bacteria in unexpected ways. Horizontal gene transfer, the process by which bacteria share DNA, happens all the time on Earth. What if space-derived genes enhance antibiotic resistance in existing pathogens? It sounds extreme, but evolution has surprised us before. The deadly space bacteria no one prepared for might not be a single organism. It might be a transformation, a shift in microbial behavior triggered by space environments, a hybrid ecosystem emerging in orbit. And as humanity pushes outward to Mars, to icy moons, to asteroids, we carry our biology with us. We are not just explorers, we are carriers of ecosystems. Every spacecraft is a tiny biosphere. So what can be done? Advanced monitoring systems using rapid DNA sequencing, improved sterilization technologies, redundant life support safeguards, strict planetary protection policies. International cooperation will be essential. space exploration is no longer limited to a few nations. Private companies, multiple countries, and future generations will all participate. We must treat microbial risk as seriously as radiation shielding or propulsion design, because in the silence of space, the greatest threat may not come from outside our spacecraft, it may come from within, from microscopic passengers evolving in ways we never imagined, from dormant life awakening on distant worlds, from ecosystems colliding for the first time in billions of years. Space is vast, beautiful, inspiring, but it is also biologically unpredictable, and if we truly plan to become a multi-planetary species, we must prepare not just for rockets and habitats, but for invisible evolution. The deadly space bacteria no one prepared for may never arrive, or it may already be adapting, quietly, beyond Earth's atmosphere. The future of space exploration depends on how seriously we take that possibility, because survival in space will not only be about engineering, it will be about biology, it will be about humility, and it will be about understanding that even in the cold vacuum of space, life finds a way. If you found this discussion thought-provoking and eye-opening, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think alien microbes would be harmless, or could they become humanity's greatest unseen threat? Let's start the conversation.